Committee's meeting. It's 6:02. We'll have acknowledgement by the membership. Councilmember Harrington.
Here.
Member Davies.
Here.
Councilmember Rafter.
Here.
Nice. John, how are you? John, how are you?
Passable.
Okay.
Passable.
Okay, good deal. Was there any need for corrections to the previous minutes that were provided? Hearing and seeing no head shaking, I guess we're good on the minutes. The agenda differs a little bit from the narrative. Where's Jenny?
She'll be logging on shortly. She was delayed.
Why don't we'll start with Personnel Director, and we'll stay on the agenda for a while then. Okay, Katie? We cannot hear you. Doug, can we hear you?
Yeah, I hope so. Oh, Katie went away.
Well, Chief, is there something that you wanted to comment about the civilian dispatcher? Why Katie's fixing her computer?
No, we've had a little bit of a turnover in our civilian dispatcher list this year. We've had a couple come, a couple go, for various reasons, mostly personal reasons. So we want to fill these positions because as of now, if we don't have them filled with a civilian, they got to be filled with an officer. And I don't know if it's fortunate, but we have a few officers that are on light duty who have covered one of those shifts, but we hope that he's going to be coming off of light duty here shortly. So it's time to move one of our part-timers up to full-time to cover that. It's just kind of the progression of things with it right now. And we've hired them, screened them. They've been training on a part-time basis, and now we feel they're ready to move up full-time, this one especially. If Katie caught if that was okay, if she can.
Now, okay, please.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, no, that's it very adequately represents the situation. It's just this position has been vacant on a full-time basis for some time now. I think Doug's done a great job about getting people in trained part-time. But as you mentioned, every shift that we're light on a dispatcher, that means that we have an officer in the station doing that work. And, given the staffing challenges, it really just doesn't make sense. So we've carefully evaluated this one, and we do recommend hiring the full-time spot. It's a CSEA position at a base salary of $30,992.
And it's budgeted.
Budgeted, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? John? Mark, you're good? And I saw Scott saying no. No questions. All right, we'll move that up to full council. Chief Brenner, if you could reach out to me tomorrow. There was something that I wanted to talk to you about.
All right.
I didn't know if you were leaving our meeting now. I think that was the only thing that we had with you, but if you would just call tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was going to stick around, but.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Katie, if you want to go on to item or topic number B, letter B.
as in boy? That's Judy Pangman, I think.
We've got you as administrative specialist appointment.
Under item E?
B as in
E,
B,
item
B,
E.
B as in boy.
I must have the wrong agenda. I'm so sorry. But
We
sure,
got
at
the
any
same
rate,
agenda as you do, Katie. So we're on E. So I don't know where Len's coming with his letters.
Well, at any rate-
I've got the Common Council Finance and Human Resource Committee, 6 p.m. Maybe there's another agenda that came out.
I
Well,
just
at any
emailed
rate,
you an updated agenda one.
Okay, hold on. Thank you, Carrie. That is definitely different than the one I have. Okay, I guess we just took care of item or letter D. Why don't we go ahead and take care of letter E while we're here, Katie?
so under E, we're requesting an appointment of a full-time administrative specialist. This person would be assigned to the finance department. About a month ago, Ginny and I had come to you after having a 3-month evaluation of staffing between finance and personnel. And we had, I don't know if you recall, but we had 2 options. The first was to fill a higher level accountant position. The second option, which at the time you had agreed with, was to go with option B, the lower cost option, which was temporary or permanently reassigning certain duties to Dave Corey, the personnel assistant, and then filling the lower level administrative specialist position. So the job's been posted. We've gone through a vetting and a selection process, and we found a candidate that we would like to recommend for full-time hire. This would be replacing the accountant position that's budgeted in the finance office. This is also a CSEA position. The base salary is $30,383.
Committee members? Questions, comments?
None for me.
Mark, you good?
None for me.
Thank you, Katie.
We'll move that to full council. Moving on to letter F, maintenance worker appointment.
So right now we have 3 full vacancies in Department of Public Works on the streets crew. So we have been advertising for either heavy equipment operators, motor equipment operators, or maintenance workers, just to try to fill those spots to cast a broad net. So we found a candidate to fill one of those spots, and we are recommending that person's full-time hire. It is a budgeted position, again, to replace one of 3 full-time vacancies in the department. The salary, this is also a CSEA position, and the base salary is $29,773. It's particularly important to get the person on board right now, just because we've had a fair amount of turnover in public works, especially on the streets crew. And going into the winter, Len, as you mentioned, with snow coming, it's important to be sure we have enough people to, get the streets and the sidewalks clear. So this person would be primarily learning and helping with that, but just be assigned to the streets crew.
Right. I have no issue. Any other committee member?
None.
We'll move that up to full council. Is this anything we need to be concerned about with the turnover?
I don't find any, well, I think turnover is always something to be concerned about for sure. I mean, we get people in, these positions are, somewhat difficult to replace. The people who have left, I haven't noticed any particular pattern. Some people who have left for, more money, other people have left just because they didn't like the realities of working for a municipality and they wanted to go out and work on a highway crew. So nothing that I've seen that is particularly troublesome, but of course, anytime an employee leaves, it's a hit for us.
Okay. So it sounds like you're able to do an exit interview with them.
With all employees, they have the option of either having a telephone call with me. We don't really do sit downs right now, or people can fill out a questionnaire and return it by mail. Everybody is sent one. Not all employees opt to answer them.
Okay. Very good. Letter G.
So we have a general municipal law 207A application to consider. It's an injured firefighter. The person has been out of work since mid-August, I believe. And I finally was able to get all of the, actually, I'm sorry, it's July. It's mid-July. So this has been going on for some time. I was able to get all the medical documentation and line up the pieces that are required by law. I do believe that this meets the criteria for a 207 application, so I would be recommending to the council that we approve the application as submitted and award benefits, both medical and wage, to this individual. I would be happy to answer any other questions about it in executive session. This is protected medical information.
Any committee members going to have questions that we need to go into executive session for?
I think I can avoid that just by asking, you said 207 application. What is exactly a 207 application? What are we being asked to approve with regards to benefits and wages? I think we can do that without going to executive session. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a very general question that doesn't get into this particular individual situation. So General Municipal Law 207, there are two sections. A covers injured firefighters in the line of duty, and C covers police officers who are injured in the line of duty. So under that section of General Municipal Law, if applicants meet certain criteria where there's found to be a causally related illness or injury or disability relating to the performance of his or her duties, and a bunch of other criteria are met, then the city is obligated to award both wage and medical benefits to the employee, which means that the person would be out of work at full salary and benefits pretty much indefinitely until the situation either resolves or he or she were to retire, resign, or just go out on a disability claim. This particular individual is not, that's not expected to happen. The disability is determined to be temporary, so we're hoping that he'll be able to come back. I'm hoping probably early 2021. It's really hard to say though. So the medical benefit, like the doctors and the hospitals and any cost of the causally related medical treatment, would be paid for by our workers' comp carrier. So we're, part of the Otsego County Workers' Comp plan. But the city would be on the hook for the cost of wages and any contractually negotiated fringe benefits. Does that answer the question? I hope. It's pretty complicated, but basically what it is, Mark, is it's enhanced workers' comp that the city is responsible for paying for police officers and firefighters.
Right. No, thank you, Katie. I appreciate that explanation.
Okay.
Any other questions? Is there any reason why any of you don't want to recommend this going up to full council? Is everybody good with moving it up? Okay. Moved. I think Katie, you have one more item. 8.
Sure. So we got, I think at the last meeting, or maybe the meeting before, you had approved our 2021 health insurance plan renewals. That was for active employees and under 65 retirees. So we just got the numbers at the end of last week on the Medicare Advantage plan, which covers our Medicare eligible retirees. And we're very happy that there was a 0.32% premium increase for 2021. So that's a huge help to the budget. It's much less than expected. So we're very happy. We can certainly take no credit for any negotiation on this. The rates are set by the government, by the federal government, because they're Medicare plans.
Well, thank you anyways. I have no objections. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move that up to full council. Okay, why don't we go back up to the top where we have Mayor Herzig and Judy Pangman on topic A.
You want me to start, Judy?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay. I'll give you the big picture and then Judy can answer any questions for details. You'll recall last meeting, council approved entering into an agreement with SHPO for the demolition of 27 Market Street, which right now we're hoping to build a transit hub on. The next step, well, let me back up. Last year, it's maybe going on 2 years ago, the city was successful in securing a Restore New York grant for $477,000 for the demolition of that building. We had to get SHPO's approval because we cannot use public funds to demolish a building that is on the historic register. We succeeded in getting SHPO's approval, so now we want to move forward with using the grant for the demolition. We would like to hire Delaware Engineering to administer the grant for us. There's quite a bit involved in administering this grant. We also want to ask the council to approve entering into a contract with Delaware Engineering to administer the grant. The money to administer the grant is covered by the grant. And in addition, we want to ask the council to waive the RFP process so we can award it directly to Delaware Engineering. The reason for that is Delaware Engineering wrote the grant for us, wrote the Restore New York grant for us that was successfully funded. Delaware Engineering worked with SHPO and guided the process with SHPO to get the approval to demolish the building. So nobody knows this grant better and the process and the building at this time better than Delaware Engineering does. So it only makes sense for them to be the organization that administers the grant for us. Judy, anything to add to that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
So Gary, I can agree more, but how do we legally get around waiving the RFP?
Go ahead, Judy.
Well, I was just going to say, in our procurement policy, we have a clause in there that for contracts for professional and consultant services that are more than $20,000, $20,001, the formal RFQ or RFP is required, but the city manager can determine if it needs to be issued. So because we don't have a city manager, it falls on common council to waive that requirement.
Any questions from committee members? Mark?
Well, I guess I have a couple questions. So one, what's the work that needs to be done by Delaware Engineering to administer the grant? And then two, Mayor, you said that this is coming kind of out of the grant. I assuming it's some kind of percentage of it for managing the grant. Is that percentage been negotiated? Do we know that percentage?
Yeah, I can answer that. The tasks within the contract with Delaware Engineering, first of all, the total is a not to exceed of $44,000. And it's going to cover the demolition specifications and bidding assistance, a subcontract with an architectural historian for structural documentation, which is required to meet the SHPO letter. And that's the total.
I think, Judy, did you mention that that also includes filing all of the paperwork and reports and MWBE documentation and so on and so on and so on that's required in this grant?
Yeah, and they've also included in here that the subcontract for the architectural historian they're proposing one that is MWBE as well. So, yeah.
Scott or John, any questions?
Well, I have one other follow-up question, if I could, Len.
Sure.
Mayor, I heard you say kind of in the introduction of this, that this was where the transit hub is going to be sitting. Is that the current thinking? I thought we were still kind of deciding that, as well as I thought that part of the idea was that we were going to be taking this site, cleaning it, and then trying to sell it to developers, frankly, in order to flip it and make some money out of it for the city. Perhaps this is not the time for clarification, but just since you brought it up, I wanted to clarify that.
No, this is the time to clarify it, Mark. So you were presented with two options for the transit hub. One was incorporated into the existing parking garage, the renovation of the parking garage. The other is separate from the parking garage across the street on the property where 27 Market Street now sits. That no decision has been made on those yet. So that is a decision still to be made, and the council, of course, will make that decision. In my thinking, it is highly unlikely that the option A, where it's incorporated into the parking garage, will be selected, because that will require the loss of somewhere between 50 and 80 additional parking spaces. And I think there's a lot of sensitivity of losing that many parking spaces on top of losing the 70 to 80 parking spaces that we're losing on the Deet Street lot. So for that reason, I think it's unlikely that we would select option A. That's why I'm saying in all likelihood, the transit hub will be on option B on that lot. You're correct about making that property available for developer. The transit hub is designed to take up a fairly small footprint, maybe 25%, I'll guess that, of the square footage of that lot. And it would, the initial design would be green space surrounding the transit hub. The property would still be available for development if a developer ever came and wanted to do something there. They could build both around and above the transit hub. So it's purposely being designed in a way that would allow eventual development there, in addition to the transit hub.
Thank you for that clarification. Any objection to moving this up to full council?
No.
So moved. The contract for the city and town of Oneonta local waterfront revitalization program grant. Judy?
Okay, yeah, so we've received the contract from the state. It's from the Department of State for our LWRP, Local Waterfront Revitalization Plan. It is just basically the contract that we have with the state that dictates to us all the things that we need to do to get this thing in place. It's got a 5-year contract, which is typical for this type of plan. We're going to try to fast track ours. The state's average on getting these done is 5 years, but we're hoping to get ours done within 2 to 3, because we really want it moving and in place. So we're just looking to get approval to sign the contract and documents that have to do with the grant program ongoing.
This is just paying for the background of the program.
Yeah, this is going to pay for the study. So the grant was $72,250, and there's a local match of $12,750, which we're splitting with the town. So this is going to be a town and city planning effort. And what we're going to be looking at is resiliency around the waterfront, and which is the Susquehanna River, and the tributaries that come down through the city to it. And it's going to be a pretty robust planning program. We're looking at resiliency and also how we can best use the river as an asset for the city and the town.
And this section of the Susquehanna that you guys are looking at?
The entire Susquehanna in the town. which means it's the entire Susquehanna River within the village or in the city, sorry. And then we're also defined it from the city's reservoirs and the tributary down through Wilbur Park and down through Neowon into the Susquehanna. So we try to make it as comprehensive of a boundary as we could, but we couldn't like dictate or have the boundary be the entire city. It had to be water related.
Right.
So it's along the tributary, along the reservoirs, and along the Susquehanna.
Okay. Gentlemen, questions? None?
None.
Okay. Mark?
That's just a comment. I think anytime that we have the opportunity to work with our colleagues in the town, I think that's a good thing. So I think this is a really nice planning grant, and it's a step in the right direction. And the future vision for what this area could be and the draw that it could be for both the town and the city is very exciting.
Be interesting
You know,
to see.
I just want to take a minute to recognize Judy on this because she applied for this grant 3 times, and we were turned down the first 2 times. And I remember saying to Judy, don't go through it a 3rd time. She says, no, this is important. This grant is really meaningful. I want to go through it again. I want to apply again. And she did. So so the only reason we have this grant is because of Judy's commitment to it and perseverance. So just want to recognize that.
Well, thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you. I think it'll be awesome in the end. I think it's going to be painful all the way through, but it's going to be awesome in the end. It's going to be a lot of work. But I think it'll be great when we get done. It should open up opportunities for us if the economy can straighten around and the state can get back on its feet. I think in the future it's going to be kind of like the DRI has been for the city. It's going to be more opportunities, and we really can become a Susquehanna River Basin community. Even though in the economic development world in the state, we're in the Mohawk Valley, I think we can really get our identity to be the Susquehanna and get some more projects and money down the road.
Well, maybe sometime in the near future, you could come to the planning committee and just kind of express your vision.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, it would be good to hear.
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you.
All right. I think the last thing you have, Judy, is the seeker,
Yes. So
which I believe everybody had an opportunity to read it. Was there any thoughts or concerns that the committee members had? John, you're good with it?
I am.
Scott, you said, or you nodded yes. Mark, did you have any?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll move that up to full council for you, Judy.
okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Jenny, we're on to you.
Thank you.
There you go.
I apologize for being a few minutes late. The auditing service contract back in June, I had mentioned to the committee that we wanted to extend it for 1 year. According to the contract, the 2020 audit work was going to be the last year. And according to the contract, we're able to extend it for another year. You did approve that. VST has submitted their proposal to us for the auditing for 2021, and it's just about $250 less than the 2020 fee that they are charging us. And I would just like to bring a motion to council to approve that contract at that amount and authorize the mayor to sign it.
Any members, any concerns? Go ahead, Scott.
What was the amount again? I'm sorry.
It's $37,750 per year, and it's $250 less than they're charging us for the 2020 budget or audit. I'm sorry.
Okay, thanks.
I'm
Mark?
just going to ask what might be an obvious question, Jenny, in terms of obvious answer. I guess I can assume that you've been happy with this auditing service, and it's been a good relationship over these past couple of years.
Oh, yes, we have been with this firm for a long time, and periodically we do go out for RFPs. We will be doing that again. We had planned on doing it for this year, but just because of all the challenges that we've been facing, the purchasing department did not get to it. So this will be on our list to do for next year. and then we'll go out for another 5-year contract. This just gives
Thanks.
us a little breathing room. That way we've got the next 2 years of audit set up, and we can go out for a 5-year proposal.
Thanks, Jenny.
And I think we could probably take the same line of questioning and apply it towards the pyramid contract also.
Correct. The pyramid, that has been done a little bit differently because it's a very complex bidding process. We have the specs to actually bid that is very detailed because we have to know all the services that are being provided, all of the city's inventory. Pyramid is more than willing to help us get the specs ready, but we also have to make sure that they're very generic and not biased to that company. But again, what had happened back in 2017 is George at the time decided not to go out to bid for this because there was so much work, so he extended the contract for 3 years. But because it has been a while since this has been bid, I would like to implement the procedure for next year. And instead of doing a 3-year contract, I would like to do a 5-year contract. And that way, again, it will give the purchasing agent time to get it together and get it out for bid. This will give us 1 more year. They have kept their price the same for the past several years, just so you know. And just on a side note, Carrie and I met with them today detailing the 2021 services. And I got to tell you how impressed I am with this company. We are very well protected. I had sent the mayor an email this week. I don't know if any of you heard, but Shenango County got hacked with ransomware, and every one of the county's computers is locked. They've actually got New York State and the FBI there. The past couple of years, Pyramid and myself and whoever else has been involved, Carrie is in this year have gone over the specs of how protected the city is. Pyramid has got a lot of protective measures in. So I'm going to knock on wood as I say this, that, if we do run into trouble, hopefully we've got really strong protections. And if ever ransomware does get in, just so you know, we've got a backup system where we would probably be up and running in 24 hours. Because what Pyramid would do would be take down the computers, eliminate all of the ransomware, and then just restore us back. We would lose 1 day's worth of work.
Right. So for in 2021, the purchasing agent is going to be working on the pyramid contract, but we'll pause on the auditing service until 22.
Yes, it will. It will give them some time. We can even go out on the auditing one for a 5-year contract because we'll have time. But again, this just gives them a little breathing room. But the more importantly is the IT for 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, as you know, our purchasing agent is retiring. So this will give the new purchasing agent time to get their feet on the ground and, get familiar with the systems.
Okay. Any concerns from committee members of? Yeah, we'll bring
Sounds like
that
a
to
good
full.
plan.
Yeah, it does. We'll bring that to full council. Thank you. Both items, the auditing service contract and the pyramid business systems contract. I believe we're down to budget transfers.
Okay. Personnel purchase a service. I'm asking for a $4,000 transfer. This budget just has, it's an estimate for different various employee services such as medical testing, evaluations, advertising, communications with the Department of Labor regulations and things like that. And we just had, because of the different interview processes with our police academy or candidates, our police candidates and different things like that, we've just exceeded what we estimated for 2020. So I'm just looking for 4,000 to hopefully get us through the end of the year. And again, the budgets are always an estimate. It depends on actual activity, depends on how many interviews Katie has to go through, how many background checks she has to do, how many medical evaluations, how many drug and testing procedures are done. And
Concerns, committee members? Any concerns? Hearing none, we'll move that. That's. Jenny, we'll move on to the maintenance garage service.
Yep, the central garage services, this is an estimated labor rate that we have to cover our central garage expenditures, and it's based on work orders of how what vehicles the central garage department does for our different departments. So far, we've got reports from central garage that go through the end of July, and some of the accounts have gone over budget. And it has to do with, did an engine fail, did a part break, did something unexpected. We base the budget on a 2-year average, so you never know if it's going to exceed based on maybe the car got in an accident that we weren't anticipating, or something happened like that. So it just needs to move some funds around in between the different departments for central garage repairs. And so I will be putting those together once I need to talk to Charlie to see exactly what happened. So I can better figure out where to take the funds from.
Right. Given the fact of what's happening with Central Garage this week, I understand that you probably don't have a complete picture of what happened, but it seems like we missed the mark by 9 weeks. So I'm just a little concerned or not really concerned. I'm just questioning, what was it that happened that we expended 9 weeks worth of funds?
Do you mean 9 weeks from? I don't know where you're getting your 9 weeks from.
So,
because as it's the end of July, you mean?
no, meaning to the end of the fiscal year.
Because what I will do is I go into the history of the accounts. I look at schedules for last year to see how much maintenance they did in each department. I will take an estimate for that, and then I will add it to this year's expenditures. I will double check with Charlie though, because he may say, no, that department is fully maintenance for the remainder of the year and I won't need any more expenditures. That's why I need to talk to Charlie just to see what we may have planned.
Right. So overall, how much are we talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry, because I did not give you the amount. I apologize for that. I want to say it's about, $7,000 between all of the departments. And that's between the general water and sewer. There's one department that's over about $3,000, and that's the airport. And I've got to figure out why. If something happened up at the airport and I'm just not sure what it is.
Okay. So at some point this week, could you give us a...
Yes, I will. I will send you the details. I would have had them, but I did not want to interrupt Charlie before, just because of what's been going on.
Understand. Yeah, I think before next Tuesday, we would definitely want to know how much we're going to be asking for.
Yeah, and also just to get a little bit more into the weeds on this, at the end of the year, I look at the central garage and I look to see if our labor rate that we estimated actually funded it. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it overfunds it. So sometimes the revenues are actually returned. We reduce the expenditures within the funds and we reduce what we had paid to the central garage, because the central garage is a self-supporting fund between all of the other funds within the city. So it's a little tricky, to guesstimate how it's going to end up at the end of the year.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to the water plant. We've expended the $10,000.
Yes, the water
for
plant.
overtime.
Yeah, the water plant overtime has been fully expended, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to need more before the end of the year. And I'm just guesstimating right at this moment, it's about $5,000. Again, I looked at the previous history of last year at this time, what they had spent between October and the end of the year. And of course, this could change if there's a major water main break. But right now, it's just a good guess to get us to the end of the year.
Committee members? Any reason why not to move this up to full council? So we're requesting $5,000. Mark, you good with that? John?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I was a little, I'm wondering why we didn't estimate the OPT bus wrap for this year.
Well, I don't believe that at the time we were doing the budget last year, it was anticipated that that was going to happen. And at the time, they were not willing to put bus wraps on the new buses. And then I think what happened is that David found a new procedure for bus wraps that wouldn't damage the buses as badly as the original wraps did. So when the budget was prepared that last fall, they weren't considering bus wraps.
Okay. But in the 21 budget, we figured this out, or
No, I
because
think,
this is going to last for 2 years?
no, I think these bus wraps, as long as we have these buses, the wraps are on the buses for Hillside's advertising, and I think they're going to stay.
So we're not in our contract with Hillside, we're not saying that we're going to change these out on an annual basis.
No,
So we're making an investment of 12,000. Well, we're making an investment of 18,007 for a multi-year contract. Then.
yes, they pay us $600 a month for their advertising. And so it will take a while to recover that cost, but they have been paying that to us ever since we had the Hillside Common contract with them.
Okay, so above and beyond the contract, we're getting paid $600 a month for that bus wrap.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I have no more questions. Any other questions? No? Okay. Prove that to
Actually,
full council.
I do
Go
have a
ahead,
quick
Mark.
question here. So looks like our payback on that would be 31 months, quick math. And you said this is going to basically extend for the lifetime of these buses. So we could get 5 years out of these is approximately. So in the end, this might be benefit for the taxpayers rather than an $18,000 loss. Am I getting that correct, Jenny?
That's correct. Yeah, and I will confirm with Dave Hoteling tomorrow on the life of these wraps. But he had indicated to me that the life of these wraps were going to be pretty long. So, but I will verify, an actual number with him, and I will email all of you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jenny.
Okay, so it's 6:44. We've completed our agenda. Is there anyone that needs to go or has a reason to go into executive session? Councilmember Harrington?
Yeah, I would like to move for executive session on a matter that imperils public safety. I'd like Chief Brenner and Katie to come into the executive session with us besides the mayor.
I'll second
Can you
that.
Scott, could you just clarify, is this a personnel matter?
I believe it's going to be that, and it could possibly also touch on negotiations as well.
Got it. Okay.
Chief Brenner, are you still with us? Okay. Carrie, if you can hear me, can you give us
I can.
a breakout room, please?
Absolutely. So confirming the 4 committee members, Katie, Mayor, and Chief Brenner.
Yes, please.
Correct. And Judy and Ginny, I don't think you have to hang out if you don't want to.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like we all made it back. Is there anything else that somebody wanted to add to our agenda? Scott, you're muted. Go ahead. What'd you say?
Oh, I just said no teleporting this time. It all worked like it was supposed to.
I was kind of hoping you guys were going to lose your hair like Gary and I and Doug.
It's getting
Well,
thinner
except
up
for
there.
Katie, you can't lose your hair.
It's getting thinner, Len. I'm trying.
All right. If there's nothing else, everyone have a